Planes crashed into the World Trade Center.
What? Are you joking?
Right, turn on your TV.
We've got to sort the market. What are you talking about?
This is Tom. He's a trader at a London investment bank, and his job is hanging by a thread. It's September 11th, 2001, and he's watching the morning news when the first plane slams into the World Trade Center. While everyone else is frozen in shock, Tom's mind is racing. He sees what others don't and immediately recognizes it as a terrorist attack. And if he's right, the markets are about to crater. While his firm scrambles to figure out what's happening, he's already placing massive put option trades, bets that airline and insurance stocks will crash. Tom knows something that nobody wants to think about right now. That when terror strikes, the only thing that moves faster than panic is money. This is the plot of Free Fall, a 19-minute French short film that most people have never heard of. And yes, it comes with the label inspired by true events. The film is based on real events reported in a book about Wall Street culture, which makes it feel disturbingly plausible. At first, Free Fall looks like a story about a young, hungry trader trying to survive in a ruthless industry. Then comes 9/11, and a choice: freeze or capitalize. While the world sees horror, he sees an opportunity. It's not just a moral thriller, it's a mirror. Because the trades in the film, they reflect real ones. And what starts as fiction reveals a much darker truth. Because in the days leading up to September 11th, 2001, the market started whispering, or maybe shouting, for anyone who knew how to listen. In the days before the attacks, unusual trades appeared in the options markets. Precise, calculated bets that certain stocks were about to crash. Not just any stocks, though. Airlines, insurance giants, banks tied directly to the Twin Towers. The weapon of choice? Put options. Now, if you're not familiar with that term, here's the simple version. A put option is a financial contract that gives someone the right to sell a stock at a fixed price, even if the real market price drops much lower. So if you think a company's stock is about to tank, you buy put options. If you're right, you can sell that stock at the higher pre-crash price and walk away with a massive profit. And someone was betting big. On September 6, 2001, put options on United Airlines jumped to 25 times their normal volume. On September 10th, American Airlines put options surged to 285 times their typical level. These weren't small bets. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars wagered on the precise airlines that would be used in the attacks. And it didn't stop there. In the days before 9/11, someone placed massive bets against Morgan Stanley, which occupied 22 floors of the World Trade Center. Put options on Merrill Lynch, which had its headquarters near the Twin Towers, jumped by 1,200%. Even reinsurance companies in Europe, firms that would have to pay out billions in claims, saw massive spikes in put option activity. All of this in the days before the world changed. A single trade on September 6th involved 2,500 put option contracts on United Airlines, split into smaller chunks and sent to multiple exchanges at the same time. When the markets reopened after 9/11, United Airlines stock had dropped 42% and American Airlines had fallen 39%. Those put options became worth a fortune overnight. This was the kind of positioning that suggests knowledge, or worse, intention. Conservative estimates suggest that the unusual options trading in the days before 9/11 generated somewhere between $10 and $16 million in profits. But other experts believe the real number could be much, much higher, potentially hundreds of millions, once you account for all the unusual activity scattered across different markets, sectors, and even continents. But when investigators started digging into who made these trades, they discovered something far more disturbing. Because someone clearly knew something, and when the dust began to settle, the hunt began. September 12, 2001. Just one day after the towers fell, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission launched one of the largest investigations in its history. The mission: track every dollar, every trade, every shadowy bet placed in the lead-up to the deadliest terrorist attack on American soil. More than 9.5 million financial transactions were examined. Over 20 countries were pulled into the dragnet. The goal was clear: find out who knew and who cashed in. For a moment, it felt like justice was coming. The trail was hot, the paper trail was real. But then, silence. No arrests, no names, no charges, no headlines, just nothing. And then something strange happened. Instead of kicking down doors, the SEC sent letters, hundreds of them, to banks, brokerages, hedge funds, asking them to help with the investigation. But there was a catch. These companies weren't just helping, they were deputized. Executives were bound by secrecy laws. if they uncovered anything, they were legally forbidden from talking about it. Not to the media, not to Congress, not even to their own lawyers. The very people most likely to uncover the truth were now sworn to protect it. And so, after months of silence, the official verdict came in. No evidence of insider trading tied to the attacks. Case closed. But the story didn't end. Because while the government was locking the doors, researchers around the world were digging deeper. In 2006, a professor at the University of Illinois, Alan Potishman, published a peer-reviewed study. He found clear statistical evidence of unusual trading patterns, consistent with insider knowledge of the attacks. In 2010, Swiss economists found similar evidence across 13 companies, with millions in profits tied to suspiciously well-timed bets. And in 2011, a coalition of university researchers studied the S&P 500 options market. Their conclusion? The only way to explain this is that someone knew. But it gets darker, because while the towers burned, something else was happening inside. A flurry of financial activity, massive wire transfers, high-frequency trades, not hours before, not days, minutes. A German tech firm, Convar, was hired to recover data from hard drives found in the rubble of the World Trade Center, and what they uncovered was chilling. According to their analysts, over $100 million moved through WTC computers in the final moments before impact. These were not routine transfers. These were last-minute, high-value, time-stamped transactions, executed just before the buildings collapsed. Richard Wagner, a senior analyst at Convar, told reporters, "There is suspicion that some people had advanced knowledge of the approximate time of the plane crashes and used it to move money before it was too late." And yet when the 9/11 Commission was asked about these drives, they said the data couldn't exist, that everything at the WTC was pulverized to near powder. But Convar had already recovered it. They had receipts. The Commission lied. So, who actually profited from 9/11? We may never know for sure, but the clues, they don't point to terrorists. They point to Wall Street and straight into the heart of U.S. intelligence. At the time of the attacks, Deutsche Bank, Alex Brown, where many of the hijackers held accounts, was making massive bets against the airline industry. Its chairman, Mayo Shattuck, resigned the very next day. But the real kicker? Before Shattuck, the man running that bank was A.B. Buzzy Krongard, who later became executive director of the CIA. So let's put that together. The CIA's number 3 man used to run a bank that profited from the collapse of the same airlines hijacked on 9/11. Still think it's just a coincidence? Because every time investigators pulled a thread, it led to the same tangled web. Wall Street, defense, intelligence, different names, same network, but always the same circles of power. 23 years later, we still don't know who was behind 9/11. But one thing is certain, someone made a fortune, and the rest of us were told to never ask questions. It's all part of the money game. Money never sleeps on Wall Street, and neither does on our channel. Watch all the mind-blowing Wall Street stories and explore intriguing money movies, all here in one place. Like this video and subscribe to The Money Game to level up your financial game today.